Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Before we get into the October tarot card readings, I wanted to make a super small announcement. I'm doing a test launch on a new little website that I'm putting together where there's only just going to be a couple of products on there for right now. Just a place for me to share some of my favorite things. So for right now, I'm introducing my ritual boxes, or as I'm calling them, my spell boxes. These are going to be dedicated to manifesting or healing love, like romantic love energy, or for attracting good fortune into your life. Each box is going to include a beautiful white marble smudge bowl with spell matches, a hand-mixed herbal smudge, sea salt and herbal bath, crystals, a candle, handcrafted anointing oil that I poured during the waxing moon, as well as a detailed instruction booklet, which I'm currently writing, which is why I'm not going to be shipping out until late next month. This will also come with a 3-card tarot reading that I'll be writing out and including in your box as well. These are available for pre-order only, and as this is just a soft launch, things won't be shipping out until the end of October, early November, and only within the United States until I figure out how shipping works, because I have no idea. So the link will be down in the description box down below, so you can go ahead and check it out. For now, let's move into the reading. Thank you. Hi Taurus, welcome to your October 2019 reading. Thanks so much for your patience. I really appreciate it. That Pluto transit super kicked my butt, I gotta tell ya. Pluto now going direct in Capricorn. Yeah, let's go ahead and see what these cards have to say. So we're starting off first actually with a court card, okay? Pages, knights, queens, and kings. Going to represent your energy specifically, okay? What is the energy of Taurus over the next few weeks as we make our way out of Libra season and into Scorpio season? A lot of page energy coming out this month. I think Libra season has a tendency to lighten it up. It can be intense, but it also is air, right? And air is a very high vibration, it's a very low density, and we have the opportunity to kind of elevate ourselves and see our life from a much higher perspective. And we have this chance or this opening for us to, allow our life to get a little bit of a push, like a little push from behind, from the universe, from our guides and our angels. And if we just kind of, don't resist, we could be really surprised at what happens in as little as like a month, in just a short period of time. And the Page of Swords is so curious and enthusiastic and optimistic about where it could go and what I could know. And, it's excited about the knowledge. I often see the Page of Swords as being excited about learning. And it's kind of like, well, no matter what life gives me, or no matter where I take my own life, right, where I go, it's going to be great. It's going to be an experience. It's going to be for learning, and there is no wrong decision. I don't see the Page of Swords getting all worked up about what the right decision is versus the wrong decision, because I think there just simply is no wrong decision unless that decision hurts somebody else, right? So it's more about free flow and following your heart, right? Because we know the heart is associated with the element of air, and we have this, being led by spirit kind of vibe. And I do think your guides are, all of us, our guides are so close to us, helping us through this Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn kind of portal transit thing. We can all feel change happening. Change is so dense. We feel it happening within our own lives, within the lives of our children or our parents, and within our communities and within humanity. It's just so dense. And so on an individual scale, we have the choice to just let change come, just let life get revised. And here we have the Star, which is all about liberation and freedom. It's about healing and hope and optimism. This is going to represent the environment. If you let go of any tethers, okay, you let go of any anchors that have been keeping you. Likely anchors are things from the past. If you are able to let go, you will be, like a slingshot all the way up to the sky, right? And I think the change in progress is going to be really fast And it's going to manifest in both physical ways, like with money and career changes and moving of homes and, those kinds of things. But it's also going to manifest in emotional peace as well. Emotional peace, emotional stability, maybe that's a better word to use. And also just kind of in general caring about other people and thereby caring more and more about ourselves. There seems to be an alignment that's happening with the star card as well, an alignment that suggests, like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like the more aligned we are with like the middle way, let's take the Taoist principles here, the more aligned we are with the middle, the fewer choices we actually have. Because the more aligned with truth we are, then, there's really not a lot of like, just truth is truth. There's just one way. So I don't see Taurus getting all worked up about stuff. Even if a problem does arise, I don't see it being perceived as a problem. I don't see it being perceived as anything disharmonious or anything like that. It's just something that's happening. Okay, let's get started with the cards. So 5 of Coins is the first one to come out, which again does suggest that maybe some of you did have some shocking things happen over the past few weeks. Maybe there have been some major changes, and maybe there is an element of fear. Sometimes when we are asked to let go of our anchors and the things that are familiar and all of that, when we're asked to let go, it can be hard because we're like, well, if I let go of what I know, then what's going to come? Like, what's going to be filled up? What's going to replace it? And some of you may have had some issues with your relationships. Some of you may have had some issues with your work or your money. But like I said, the letting go is actually going to, like, the star is not just like in the sky. It's like the inner universe as well. And when you start operating from this understanding that you are a mini universe, then all these kind of material problems seem insignificant. Some of you are having any health problems. Now is going to be a really good time to start believing in your health and recovery, okay? When it comes to belief can be very helpful or very not helpful. So you might as well choose. If you can choose to believe something good or choose to believe something not so good, why wouldn't you choose to believe the good thing, right? Believe that you are healthy. Believe that you are losing weight. Believe that your bones are healing. Believe that money is getting better, right? And as much as it may challenge you initially, it's this very belief that is going to help fuel the changes themselves. So start believing in what's helpful. Start believing in the endless possibilities and the infinite spectrum in which we are in fact operating. I think the 5 of Coins is merely kind of a manifestation of our own limits. So if you have an external limitation, it's a mirroring of an internal limitation, which the Page of Swords knows no limits. He's my limitless guy, if you guys ever saw that movie. Limitless. Let the neurons trigger in all different directions, if you want to get all scientific about it. Okay, so here we have the Empress Reversed. I'm wondering if you're dealing with someone who's been putting on a bit of a pity party. Have you been dealing with someone who's kind of whiny and complaining and, kind of feeling like they don't see their own value either? I think there is an Empress in your sphere, in your scope. Could be a lover, could be a coworker or a boss or a brother or sister or something. And I think this is really unfortunate. This seems to be an unfortunate situation that somehow this has kind of gotten entangled in your path, because I don't necessarily see it as being you. Taurus, if you are feeling insecure or insignificant in any way, shape, or form, start believing something different. Okay, start choosing to see the things to be grateful for, because you're an Empress. Like, why? If your own insecurities are kind of keeping you on the shelf, keeping you inside, keeping you from reaching out or from opening your heart, that's just kind of something that you seem to be doing to yourself, or that someone else seems to be doing to themselves. it's kind of they're putting up a lot of barriers and a lot of boundaries. I said this in a Scorpio video, which boundaries are great, but we forget that if we put up all these walls and all these boundaries, then we're just kind of imprisoning ourselves a little bit. So the goal is to shine from the inside out, not to have boundaries, but to be so light and so full of light that we then deter things that can't handle the light, and then the problem just takes care of itself. But you have to see the light first. And if you're dealing with someone who doesn't see their light, there's only so much you can do, Taurus, to help them. There's only so much you can do to like pump them up. Like how many pep talks can you really give? You know what I mean? So, I mean, if they don't see it, I don't know, but like I see it, and I think on some level you see it, Taurus. Like you see the Empress for what they are. And in many ways, Taurus, because this is like your card or one of your cards, I think you see a great deal of yourself in that other person too. Like, oh yeah, man, I've been there. Like, I totally know what you're saying. I totally know what you're talking about. Belief. Belief plays a huge role this month for some reason. See? The sun. Becoming so bright and so full of light that anyone that can't handle the light sort of takes care of themselves. Taurus, I have a suspicion that there could be a connection, relationship that is, of course, very rocky, five of coins, and that may be on the brink of making its way out. If that is in fact the case, let it just walk out the door. I'm not saying to not be compassionate, because that's all the sun is. It's like unconditional love. Like I think one of my favorite quotes of all time, I don't remember who said it. It might be a Rumi quote, but it's, and still after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. I always get chills whenever I say that, because it's like, oh my God, it's so true. And still after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. And I think, Taurus, you are taking on the air of the sun and the stars right now, right? You're taking on the air of that higher consciousness, and someone seems to be, kind of drowning in their own darkness, which is unfortunate, but I think this is going to be an opportunity for you to really test your own unconditional love, to love in spite of any transactional quality whatsoever, and to set someone free. And it's possible this person won't want to be set free too. Like maybe some of you are going to have to break up with someone, or you're going to have to leave someone in a little bit of a bind. But I just don't know that they will, quote unquote, learn. Not that it's your responsibility to make them learn, but I just don't know that they'll learn if they continually rely upon Taurus. They just can't, they won't be able to grow that way. This is, might appear harsh, and it might be something harsh in your world, but I think you're just following the light at this point, and they have just as much an opportunity to follow the light as well, and for whatever reason, they're simply choosing not to. Okay? Wow, look at all these major arcana coming out. 3 so far. So here we have that inner knowing, which the priestess represents. I always am always so drawn to the moon that she has under her foot here, which indicates to me that she's so incredibly like in power or in control. And when her intuition is calling and speaking, she knows that it's time to listen. This is such a quiet energy, though, the high priestess, right? She's so like you have to say, all the other noise in my mind, shut up. I'm trying to really listen to my true self. And sometimes she can be confusing, because there's that part of like, well, am I just making that up? Am I just like afraid? Is it fear or intuition? Or is that really my guide? Or is that really just my imagination? Like, what is that really? And so you have to learn how to rid yourself of all the noise and to find that stillness so that that veil of truth can be lifted. And this may indicate, right? This may indicate or represent your silence. And sometimes silence is the best teacher, because with you, I just don't want to see you put your progress on halt, because it's so beautiful and so light and so joyful. And so any sort of heavy density it's going to just feel like it's weighing you down. And darker emotions have more density. Other people's fear, other people's lack of gratitude, other people's jealousy, right? Those are the kinds of things that can, because the page it's wonderful, but it's also not as strong as an empress. Let's just put it that way, right? So if an empress is reversed and she's kind of coming forth with a little bit of entitlement, we can say that maybe. A page of swords can easily get swayed into that because it's not as sturdy as like a king or an emperor. And that's where you're going to have to recognize the strength and the power of the density itself of certain emotions. Right? Think of your emotions as having density. And that's why, like with the chakras, right? We start off with earth and then water, fire, air, ether, and then up and up and up because it's less density. Okay. Eight of Swords. What is it that you're not seeing or choosing not to see? Maybe this individual is also choosing not to see something. Taurus, this could be you as well. So that's why, like, pay attention if you're feeling jealous, if you're feeling anger, to like put yourself in check and say, whoa, I need to quiet the noise, take a step back, not to jump to conclusions, to express my gratitude, and to find the light. Okay, to find the light. And it's going to be important for you not to get so lost in a sea of all the thoughts. It's hard because it's Libra season, so it is mentally driven. It is air after all, so it's hard not to get lost in thoughts. But for you, I don't see thoughts as doing you a huge favor right now. This is more about being driven by your gut, driven by your instinct, or rather your intuition, okay? You may feel trapped by this person or situation if it is in fact an external thing. You may feel trapped. You may feel unable to really control it. You may feel obligated. Obligation is a tough thing. And we don't talk about it enough, feeling obligated. What really is our obligation? What isn't our obligation? And you may need to redefine that for yourself too. Like, at what point is this like repaid, or at what point does this debt cease to be a debt? And at what point do you stop owing something to someone, because I don't know that it's your responsibility to kind of stifle your light in the kind of harshness of someone else's karma. I think your light is trying to shine so bright, and you want to feel the lightness. Like, I know you want to feel the lightness. I know it. And then sometimes it's hard. Okay. This card is especially special for me right now. Not because of anything personal going on, but because I've been studying some of the religious texts, which I've never read certain books before, and the Bible is one of them. And I was learning about the cherubim in the Bible, which are briefly mentioned here and there as protectors of the Ark of the Covenant and the transporters of the throne of God and the protectors of the Garden of Eden. And, that's kind of what these four faces really represent. And I know there's the Aquarius, Scorpio, Leo, Taurus connection, but these are like the four faces of these beings that were responsible for God's transport. I'm just pulling from the mythology, right? So when I'm looking at here, we have like an angelic being in the very center being transported by these really high level, so powerful that they sat next to God in heavens, right? So powerful and so intelligent and so loving and so compassionate. And when we have those beings here carrying you, you are transporting and you are very protected. Okay, it's important for us to realize that there are really loving beings around us at any given moment, especially when we are being asked to make such major changes in life. I think a lot of, angels and helpers, they know how hard life can be sometimes, and they know how challenging it can be sometimes. And so when we allow them to take us where we need to go and to put us where we need to be put, and to have faith in their intelligence and their ability to see, because they are sitting behind the veil and we are not, right? They're sitting behind the veil, we are not. So to have faith in their knowledge of what's behind the veil is important sometimes. And so when we're dealing with an Empress Reversed, who can be really tricky, or if we're trying to harness that within ourselves and try to get that under control, I think the helpers and the guides are they're right there. So you can call on them, and they will open those doors for you. Sun and the star, they will open doors for you. They will present opportunities as an out. It's an out, like an escape door. And this could also represent them moving on, or them doing something, or it could be you as well. So many majors coming through. Obviously, this is a big time for you. Obviously, you can feel it. And death is imminent, especially with Pluto now going direct. And we can now be more truthful with ourselves and be more truthful with others. And in a way, we can kind of force this to happen with our beingness. Right? With our beingness. This is just going to happen. This is an inevitability, right? In life, yes, we're inevitably going to die, but also in all circles and all cycles of life as well. They are all inevitably going to die, right? Childhood inevitably dies. Adulthood eventually, transforms or transmutes into a higher level of maturity, right? So eventually all cycles come to an end. So it's clear to me that we've been going through this ending all year. And like I said, it's becoming so obvious, so dense, so incredibly, relevant. And yet there's nothing we can do to push it forward. Remember, we are still under the construct of time. Our minds can go there immediately, but our bodies take a while to get there. And that's kind of one of the kind of frustrations of the world. Because if we kind of had it our way, we could create and manifest immediately. But the kind of Saturnian nature of being confined to a slower time evolution can be hard sometimes and hard to understand. So maybe there is a little bit more turbulence. And I was thinking with the Page of Swords, maybe this really is just your desire to just really break free, and to really make major changes. Some of you are breaking up with people. Some of you are breaking up with careers. You're breaking up with old apartments. You're breaking up with a lot of things. And it's for the sake of peace. Everything being done for the sake of peace. For the sake of joy. Six of Swords reversed. Not everyone is going to be in that boat with you. Not everyone is going to want to go toward that peaceful horizon with you. And you are going to have to go it alone. In Buddhism, they teach of, the learning and the reading and talking to gurus and, all this stuff as you being in a canoe and kind of, paddling down a river. But at a certain point, right, at a certain point, that river gets so narrow that the boat and the oars become a liability. So, all the people, all the books, all the knowledge, all the things, they become a liability at some point, and you have to get out of the boat and you have to just start walking to continue down the path. And some of you might be at that point of oh my God, I have to get out of the boat now. And this probably includes the Empress. It probably includes, something, that you've had in your life for a really long time, and maybe you've relied upon them for a really long time. And now you're I can't. Like, I have to go down this path of light and this path of evolution by myself. And I do. Like, I know that there are going to be people that they can't be in that boat with you. And I think this Empress is one of them. They just simply can't be. And again, if that Empress is a part of you, that's a part of you that cannot continue on with you. Your angels are here to make sure you're safe. Like, I'm not getting a lot of money with the exception of the 5 of coins, which tells me that there's fear around survival a little bit, and there's no need, right? Star and the sun and the world, there is no need to be afraid that these choices that you're making now are going to put you in a worse position, because they're not. I think that's just a construct that kind of we think, but it's not real. And the 3 of Cups. That's kind of a weird card to get. Of all the cards to get after this reading, we get the 3 of Cups. So let's talk about it in its most generic form, all right? It can often be just fun, okay? This is meant to be enjoyed, this whole thing. Unfortunately, we can often, feel like it's so serious. We can feel like it's so intense and it's so much of a big deal. 3 of Cups says it's not a big deal. Just flow, right? That's what the Page of Swords wants. It just wants to be carried and blown around by the wind. And if you can do that, it's going to feel great. It's going to feel like an adventure, right? One of the first things I was talking about with the Page of Swords, it's going to feel like an adventure. It's going to feel like it's fun, and you are doing this whole like video game simulation thing, and you're succeeding, and it's cool, and you get to kind of explore new worlds that you've never seen before. Not everyone is going to be able to tap into that though, but it's just a reminder. Some of you, if there is a relationship that does have third party, I just got to say it, okay? It's probably time for you to leave the whole mess behind. So others of you have, problematic exes or baby mama, baby daddy kind of situations. It's probably best for you to put your weapons down and just settle to an extent. It's probably best for you to just move on, right? To figure it out, to meet in the middle somewhere, and to really just move on. And to just start to try to find the lightness in your life. Okay, so this is going to be a very interesting, comprehensive. Let's go ahead and put the camera down and we'll pull out the rest of the cards and see kind of where this story takes us, all right? Thank you guys so much. If I don't see you for the comprehensive, then I will see you next month. Take care. Okay, Taurus. For those of you who are asking, this center tarot is called the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. It took me a long time to find this deck. I'd seen a couple other readers use it, and I love it because it's borderless, and it kind of has some the rich colors. Okay, actually, it's not where I'm starting. I'm going to start here with an oracle card. Let's clarify this Page of Swords here. Page of Swords is you, Taurus, remember? So let's focus on kind of a recommendation or a suggestion of your energy. Ooh, get creative. Kind of an offbeat message for you, actually, because I think this situation could be somewhat consuming for some of you. Hopefully it's not too bad, but to get creative, and I love that with the Page of Swords because that's what he is, that's what he does. Not only does he get creative with, I just super flicked this one across the room here. Ooh, let's just talk about it. This is the Shark card, and it's associated with purpose, so we'll get to that in a second. But not necessarily with art or anything like that, but he gets creative with life. He gets creative with decisions and connections, and he gets creative with ideas and that kind of thing. He's very brainstormy. Let's brainstorm and let's pick something and let's go for it. And I suspect that kind of attitude is what's needed to really deal with the high density of this particular situation or this emotion that you're feeling or whatever. To get creative and to not be afraid of making any kind of wrong choices, because like I said, there are no wrong choices here. So here we have the Shark card, and it's associated with your purpose. Now, one of the things that I love about sharks is kind of how misrepresented they are, right? In media and TV shows and movies and all that. And I think on some level, the misunderstood quality is ringing out to me the most, even more so than like purpose. On some level, you have been misunderstood. And on some level, maybe you have misunderstood what life is to be. I always have to kind of remind myself that the purpose of life is merely to be alive, and I think we lose sight of that often. And so if you kind of scale it back, the purpose of being alive, to be alive, and then you can be a teacher, you can be a scientist, you can be a researcher, you can be an artist, you can do all these other things, right, through life itself. But let's not forget the base reason, okay? So connect with the base. It's all very scaled back in simplicity, scaling it back to the most simplistic form of understanding, the most basic fundamentals, which I think one of the first things that a child learns is like, oh, I'm separate from my mom, right? At a very young age, a few months after birth, they realize that their mother is something separate from them. So I think that that's kind of the fundamentalism that I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and start clarifying these. So these are going to be the cards we do talk about in the comprehensive. If you want to join, I'm just pulling them out so you can see what we'll talk about, and you can decide if you want to join or not. Sometimes the stories take a 90-degree turn, sometimes they don't. It's just to be seen. So let's start with the 5 of Coins. Ooh, another star card. See, the 5 of Coins is not a big deal. 5 of Coins. Remember what I was saying about belief? Believe. Believe what's helpful. Believe what heals you. If you believe that peace can exist, if you believe that money can come to you, if you believe that there's a better way, start telling yourself that. Lover's reversed. Interesting. Maybe the Empress is a lover. Maybe the Empress is a connection. Maybe it's something karmic. Let's look at the Empress. I think the Empress needs to take a time out, or you guys need to take a time out from each other. Ooh, 3 of Swords. Yeah, was there some of you? Yes, maybe a third party. Okay. And that can be a really tough pill to swallow sometimes if you're kind of on the receiving end of that kind of deal. I kind of am feeling an element of forgiveness with that 6 of Coins. But really it's not about you forgiving them or them forgiving you. What I think it is each of you forgiving yourselves. Oh my gosh, so many majors. Whew. There's the Tower, okay. Alrighty, was this kind of one of those things like, yeah, I knew, and I knew it, but I didn't admit that I knew it? A lot of pages as well. I think there's a desire to communicate, but a difficult time getting to the space of communicating in a real, honest way. You seem to have 2 storylines going at the same time, Taurus. It's like you have a past storyline closing out and simultaneously a new storyline opening. Let's look at Death card. One thing you can't do is run away. I think there needs to be a confrontation of some kind. that is a kind of a must. Yeah, Five of Wands. It's a must because it needs to be said, because that's going to be the nature of Scorpio season. And then we got Magician reversed as well. Hold on, a couple other cards. Okay. They weren't upright though, so I'm not going to take them. But I think the confrontation needs to happen. It's not going to be possible to just skulk away and to hide, like you or them or anybody. It's going to have to be said. The more hiding that gets done and the more cowardice there is, just the more dragged out it's going to be. But eventually it's going to come to a head no matter what, right? Death and the Tower, please. These are things that are inevitable. You might as well bite the, grab the bull by the horns and... Okay. Five of Coins connected with the Three of Cups. Let's look at you here. It's not a good time to be looking for anything at this time, okay? It's going to be a time for you to kind of just accept what comes to you and then deal with it accordingly. And yeah, real slow this month. Just take it easy for the next few weeks and just see how things unfold. And opportunities will come, and if they don't, they will come eventually, maybe in November. Okay, so I think this is going to be a ... to be continued kind of deal. So, we'll have to pick it back up in November. But yeah, okay, I'm going to leave you guys there. So if you want to join me, the link will be in the description box. If not, then I will see you next month. Have an excellent Libra season. Take care. Bye-bye.